the KKK members start to think, huh, am, am I, do I really think this? Is this person I'm talking to so different than me? And that's when they become uncertain in their beliefs. And that's when the healing starts to happen. That's when the growth starts to happen. But at the very beginning, it was that certainty. And that certainty in their beliefs led them down to evil paths. For my book, I wanted to talk about like 3 pillars for how to believe, and those 3 pillars are Kaizen, love, and values. And what I realized today in thinking about it, because I've been thinking about the idea of evil as well and how evil comes about in this world, and I had the epiphany that with Kaizen and love, the opposites are how most of the evil in this world comes about. And that's, so instead of Kaizen, or instead of having uncertain and beliefs and always trying to improve yourself and understand the world a little better, instead of that, it's certainty. And instead of love and empathy, it's apathy and indifference. And when I had that epiphany, it made me think of, what kind of book am I writing? It might be something about how to believe, but it's also how to avoid evil. So I want to go a little bit more in depth into how evil comes about. I'm still thinking about these ideas, but I just want to explore them a little bit. So the first one is uncertainty. Certainty for the evil, and then uncertainty for how you improve yourself. So certainty in your beliefs is a core part of how people ignore what evidence is right in front of them for the beliefs they hold. So a good example is racist. So we consider racist evil now, and also KKK members as evil to society. But what Daryl Davis, and if you don't know who Daryl Davis is, look him up. His TED Talk is amazing. He has converted over 200 KKK members, but that's not the point. And the point is, what he reveals is that most of this evil in the KKK is just based on the KKK members' certainty in their belief that whites are superior to blacks. And within that certainty, their beliefs are concreted. And what Daryl Davis does is understands their argument, so empathizes with them, and understands where they're coming from with the question of, how could you hate me based on the color of my skin? And then refutes those arguments with his own. So he first listens, and he addresses what arguments they're tackling, and by doing that, he breaks up that certainty. And so we can think about it as this big wall, and what his empathy and curiosity does is he pokes the bricks out of the wall to the point that the KKK members start to think, huh, do I really think this? Is this person I'm talking to so different than me? And that's when they become uncertain in their beliefs. And that's when the healing starts to happen. That's when the growth starts to happen. But at the very beginning, it was that certainty. And that certainty in their beliefs led them down to evil paths. we can say the same with Nazi Germany, right? Their certainty in that the Aryan race was superior led them down a rabbit hole where they grew indifferent and apathetic to Jews and made them as scapegoats because it started out with their certainty that Aryans were superior. So that's one way we can look at evil. The second way is apathy. And how I want to tackle or show apathy as evil is to think of drug cartels and continuous murderers. So, I had a friend who went to Mexico for 2 years, and he actually got to talk to one of the drug dealers. And he told me about the experience, and it was wild. Because this drug dealer who has killed maybe not hundreds, but more than 10, let's say that he's killed a lot of people, was accommodating my friend, let him into his house, was giving him food, sheltering him, not giving him a home, but treating him as a guest. And when my friend started asking this drug dealer about how he can kill people, it was almost as if it was just like going in the mailbox and getting the mail. It was no different than his everyday activities, just part of his life. And it's that growing a custom of an action, of doing it so many times that you become so indifferent to it and so apathetic to others that evil set in. And that's the same, I would say the same with murderers as well. From what I've heard about different psychologists who went into the prisons and talked with these inmates, that they seem so normal. At least from what they have told me, well, not told me, but from what I've listened to online about these certified psychiatrists and doctors going to these prisons and speaking about how normal these murderers are, but that murdering is just another thing they do. They don't see the wrong in it. And that's because of that apathy and that indifference to the action that they have grown accustomed to over time and have done it over and over again. Examples not coming to my head right now of a similar kind of action, but let's just say traffic. Yeah. So it's like first time you get into traffic, you say, "Oh my God, it's so awful." All right, and then you do the same commute every single week, and then for months on end, and for years on end. Of course, you're gonna still say it sucks, but you're not gonna have that so intense of a motion or a reaction to it as you did at the very beginning. You're gonna say, well, that's just traffic for you, instead of, what the hell is this? And that's the same thing with these murderers as well. Not all of them, okay? But with these drug cartels and a lot of these murderers is that they just grow accustomed to it. For one reason or another, they got past the second and killed the third, the fourth, and either they become apathetic of it or they actually were pleased and and derive pleasure from it. That's another thing I'm thinking about too, is that deriving pleasure from the activities of evil activities. And that's why I think, Hank, going back, so the book would be, what I write is about Kaizen, so growth, like learning and uncertainty and growth, Kaizen, love, and values. And I think the values would be that other evil I was talking about is deriving pleasure from these killings, where it's the opposite of creating a moral system or moral values. It's that hedonistic pursuit of, well, it feels good, I like how it feels, so I'm gonna go for it, which is completely opposite from understanding and creating your own value system. So that's kind of where I'm at with my ideas of belief, and also of antidotes to evil and the sources from evil. I too want to understand it a little bit better by not experiencing evil directly, but more within at least safe parameters. So a good example would be going on police ride-alongs. Another example would be meeting one of these prison inmates, like they do. I don't know the whole process, but it's the movie version that's coming to mind, where they have that glass and you talk through the phone for visitation. So those are two options I think that are safe options I can take to kind of get glimpses into the evils in our society, or what we call evil in our society, and then come up with my own observation and inferences.